Hello again, welcome to another edition of CropLife Retail Week. Paul Schrimpf joined by Sfiligoj. Hello.
One last time.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, we haven't seen you, haven't seen me for a while.
Well, yeah, that's right. It's been Paul on his Pennsylvania disaster tour. I'm sure if anyone's followed him on Facebook, they've seen all the nice pictures of graffiti on the abandoned Pennsylvania Turnpike and the burning town of Centralia, Pennsylvania.
That's right. And we found a new place this year. It's called Yellow Dog Village. It's north of Pittsburgh. And yeah, it's an old, kind of a ghost town.
Why is it a ghost town? Do we know?
They ran out of water.
Well, that is a bad thing.
Yeah, the wells ran dry, and they ran dry recently. And then, of course, it wasn't an incorporated town. It was a company town built by U.S. Steel back in the 30s, I think 20s and 30s. Mm-hmm. And it sustained itself. It was supplied limestone to the steel mills, and then the wells just ran dry. And because it wasn't a part of an incorporated city, they didn't have the political clout to get the water from the reservoirs to get the pipes filled up with water. So basically, they said, you're out of luck unless you can come up with $1 million. And so people left.
Okay.
This town's kind of been in suspended animation. The guy's trying to preserve it and actually bring it back for historical value. It will be extremely difficult because they were gone over pretty well by various vandals and miscreants. But But that was fun. Took video. My son does historical perspectives on video on YouTube, and that's one of his things he does on the side, along with going to college. And
maybe we'll put up a link here.
Yeah, maybe someday when he's fine. He's perfectionist, so it may take a few months for him to actually do it. But interesting. Anyway, so I'm back.
Yes.
Kind of rested, and I'm getting ready to go to InfoWag next week.
Yes.
There's going to be a number of announcements. I'm already getting clues from people who want to meet and sit down and talk about what's going on. A lot of partnerships. I'm not big acquisitions, but there's a lot of partnerships and tweaks that are happening between companies that are really interesting. I think, watch some of the news that comes out. We'll be reporting from it and trying to get that stuff out on the website as soon as it comes out. But some really interesting things that are happening that I'm sworn to secrecy on. So we'll look forward to that.
I just want to know if the big passenger drone that you saw a few months ago when you were at another drone event will actually make it to the InfoWag floor.
Unfortunately not.
Probably too big?
No, nothing's too big. If that were coming, I'd make room.
Okay.
Everybody have to clear the decks.
Fair enough.
That was pretty sweet. But there's an announcement that there's a drone apply for pesticide application that was approved approved in Iowa.
Oh yeah, I read about that.
So that's that whole thing is kind of moving forward, which is really interesting. We'll see where it goes and where it's gonna be applied first. And for what purposes? Don't know yet, but it's interesting.
Okay.
So what do you got? You got news, I know.
Well, I got a couple of bits of information. Actually, a few years back, I guess there was some debate regarding a popular insecticide for the crop protection marketplace, Sulfoxaflor. Is that how it's pronounced?
I believe so.
Yes. Basically, the Ninth Court of Appeals said that there wasn't enough data regarding this insecticide's potential impact on bees. So the registration was pulled, but I guess the EPA, Paul, has done some new studies and determined that the bees will actually be safe. So we will be using this insecticide going forward for the foreseeable future.
Good. Science works.
Sometimes, if you actually rely on it, science will work.
Wow. All right.
And speaking of that, thank you for the segue.
Sure.
Of course, we've been following the glyphosate verdicts that have been happening across the country. And one of the first ones, Paul, was in California. You may remember that the jury awarded, I think it was around $280 million in damages to someone who claimed that they got cancer from using glyphosate. The judge in that case has now reduced that jury verdict because I guess according to the Supreme Court, a jury verdict cannot be more than 15 times a compulsory verdict against. So that verdict has been reduced from 80 million down to 25 million. So again, still a lot of money. I know that the Bayer folks are already on record saying that they will continue with their appeal process on this, Paul, because they don't believe that there was any hard scientific evidence to support the claim of the plaintiff, but obviously the judge and the jury have made their decisions now.
Yeah, just going to keep moving. That's just push through and see where it ends up. I don't know. there's not much more to say.
Not much more, yeah. Well, again, we'll be following that. And one other thing to note, I know, Paul, you may have run into it while you were in Pennsylvania. I know here in Ohio, the last week or so, we've had some rains on and off. It's been kind of hot and humid, but the rains have been coming. And I know for the folks in the corn market, they were watching the futures for corn go up when the hot, dry weather was there without the rain. Corn actually hit a high that it almost $5 per bushel for September futures, which hasn't seen since June of 2014. But now that we've got a little bit of rain, Paul, the prices are falling back down. Last I checked, corn was at $4.41 a bushel for September. So
interesting. And you see a ton in PA. It's a lot of dairy. We're kind of in a lot of dairy country and coal country where they don't really have that much. But saw some pretty good corn in some areas. I was really surprised. Some of the west central Pennsylvania counties that we were going through, actually, the corn looked pretty fair. I mean, for that area, it usually it's not like Iowa. It doesn't shoot up and get over your head in a hurry.
Yeah.
But it was there was some stuff that was at least as tall as me or maybe a little bit taller in some areas. So yeah. So hopefully, I have no idea whether that's widespread or not, or what the prognosis is for them. But there was some decent looking corn in some areas. So
I know myself. There's a couple of crop fields near where I live in northwestern Ohio, and most of those fields, Paul, I mean, I saw some decent looking soybean in the one field. There's some corn in another, but primarily it seems like a lot of water hemp and ragweed seems to be the crop in these fields. It doesn't look like many of them were as planted as is in a normal year. So again, here in Ohio, it's still kind of a little bit of a rough go.
Yep, you betcha. So next week I'm traveling, and I think we're going to be possibly using some tapes, but some videos that we've been shooting over the last couple of weeks. But you're going to be the week after. You're going to be at the Trade Summit.
Yeah,
right?
the Agribusiness Global, our sister magazine that covers the international market, has their annual Trade Summit going on in Atlantic City, and I will be there moderating a panel talking about the crop protection market or crop inputs market moving forward between now and 2025. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, watch the pages of CropLife and online, our website. I'm sure we'll be having some post-show reports that will be going up here in early September, early August.
Well, with all the stuff that's going on with tariffs and international finance, it'll be a great conference to go to get a sense for what's happening now. So things keep changing.
Yes.
And I know that's always not just a great place to do business, but also a great place to network too. So
yes.
All right. Well, that's it for this edition of CropLife Retail Week. Hopefully, we'll see you while we're on the road. If not, we'll see you through the camera real soon. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below.
Your feedback is important to us. We'll try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode.
And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.